Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Here in today's video, we are going to be talking about Tesla's earnings. Now, this is the last video that will be posted to this channel before Tesla's earnings. Now, we're going to cover Tesla's earnings at, 4 p.m. I'm going to be going over the numbers tomorrow. A video is probably going to be out by 5 p.m. talking about the numbers, the stock reaction, any guidance we get, all of that. But unless something crazy happens tomorrow during the trading day, this is the last video that will be posted on this channel before Tesla earnings. And I do have to say, the setup looks really good heading into those earnings. Here in this video, I will share with you my thoughts and expectations around Tesla's stock and Tesla's earnings. We will look at what analysts are saying about Tesla earnings as well, and where I think the stock will likely go. We'll look at what the options are pricing in as well. While the options are not like a definitive, like, hey, this is what's going to happen because the options say so, it does tell you kind of where the broader markets are expecting Tesla to go. Okay, so we have a lot of work to get into in today's episode. I don't want to waste your time. Do me a quick favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps push this video out to more people that I think really could benefit from this information. If you guys want to take it a step further, come trade with us as we are investing, identifying, and executing on these AI stocks, these energy stocks, robotics companies, biopharmas, gene editing names for the next 10 years, right? These are core ideas for this market. And I think the best opportunity right now is in the smaller companies that Wall Street is ignoring, especially as we are what I believe going to see inflation come down over the next 12 months, many more Fed rate cuts, a consumer that gets a little bit better. This, I think, is the best strategy in markets right now. We've had some impressive gains this year, but I think things are only going to get crazier into next year. And we're talking substantial amounts of money could be made. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial planner. Come to your own conclusions. Stuff can happen that we just can't forecast as well. And last things first, there's a link down below in the description of this video as well. If you guys want to join public, sign up, deposit $1,000, get $100 in free stock of your choice. So your favorite stock right now, you can get $100 for free to go and buy a couple extra shares or a quarter of a share of Tesla. So check it out if you guys have not done so already. That is the brokerage that I use the most. So yeah, it's a win-win. But let's get started. First things first, let's cover analyst opinions on Tesla's earnings. Okay, so here are the consensus estimates from all of your analysts piled together. Here are the average, okay? Earnings per share coming in at 55 cents. The year ago number was 72 cents, so that would be negative 23.24% year over year growth. Revenue at 26.58 billion is the average consensus and or estimate, and the year ago number was 25.18 billion. That would be 5.5% year over year growth. Now, EPS estimates have trended upwards recently with 13 upward revisions and only 2 downward revisions in the last 30 days. Alternative forecasts show slightly lower figures with EPS at 54 cents and revenue at 26.22 billion. The focus during the earnings call is expected to be on AI, robotaxi updates, and full self-driving progress, which could influence stock reaction beyond the numbers. That's important to point out. It's not about the numbers. I really could care less what the EPS number comes in at, what the revenue number comes in at. Obviously, the higher, the better. But for an example, if we have really good EPS numbers, really good revenue numbers that blow out Wall Street expectations, but then we get a really disappointing conference call with not a lot of clarity, really opaque, they don't answer a lot of questions, the stock's going to sell off on that, for an example, right? Versus if we get bad numbers and then a really good earnings call, the stock is likely to go up, even with bad numbers. So the numbers themselves are a little misleading, I think, because I feel like a lot of people just put way too much emphasis on the numbers, which Tesla never trades on the numbers. Just like with deliveries, right? Tesla just had really good deliveries back on October 2nd. What happened? The stock, sold off, right? Now the stock had rallied into those numbers, so it was a little bit of the, buy the rumor, sell the news reaction, but good numbers do not mean a good reaction for the stock and vice versa. Bad numbers do not mean a bad reaction for the stock. Tomorrow's reaction and how Tesla moves following earnings is all going to come down to the conference call. And specifically, again, Robotaxi and Optimus and plans for 2026, that's really what is going to move the needle for Tesla stock. Now, I think partially the good news is the stock cares a lot less about the auto side, right? Tesla stock doesn't necessarily trade on auto numbers anymore. If that was the case, Tesla would have been wildly green today because China's insurance registration numbers for last week came in really, really good. Okay. Stock didn't do much today, right? So it's all about Robotaxi and Optimus. But before we get into specifically my expectations, what I think is going to happen and how the stock will react, there's a couple different analyst takes I want to share with you. This article says veteran Tesla analyst drops urgent take ahead of earnings. It says there's a lot at stake for Tesla this week. The EV giant is slated to drop its Q3 earnings results on Wednesday, October 22nd, with the call likely to reset expectations for both its car business and the bigger than cars story investors are betting on. Many would argue, though, that the larger recent story hasn't been the quarter. It's Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay plan and a potential XAI tie-up that could pull Tesla a lot deeper into the AI arms race. Investors seem to be circling the same questions. The $1 trillion pay package, the key date, whether or not, the company expects that to pass, which I'm sure Tesla is going to say they expect it to pass. A milestone focus. Targets have been set for the Robotaxi rollout and Optimus ramp, effectively keeping compensation linked to concrete AI deliverables, not just vehicle sales. And then again, XAI tie-ups. Now, this analyst is Dan Levy, a veteran auto analyst at Barclays who has frequently covered Tesla and the global auto space. And he says that heading into October 22nd's pivotal Q3 earnings, Levy says investors are faced with two contrasting stories. On one side, there's the incredibly potent AI and autonomous driving narrative that's been reinvigorated by Elon Musk's proposed $1 trillion compensation package. On the other hand, there's Tesla's slowing fundamentals, with Q3 deliveries likely the peak for now after buyers rushed in to beat the September 30th expiration for the $7,500 tax credit. I think that's way too black and white, okay? As I've talked about on this channel before many times now, I think Wall Street's perception of Tesla's going to have a bad Q3 or a really good Q3 and then a bad Q4 is wrong. I think especially in China, there's a lot of solid demand right now. And I don't see just a fall off the cliff kind of demand environment for Tesla in Q4, right? Even if it's a little bit lower in the US, I think that's going to be offset by seasonally strong demand globally in Q4. And even if we don't beat last quarter's numbers, I think they're going to be close, right? For an example, I think maybe Q4 deliveries could come in between 450 and 475,000. Wall Street, if I were to argue right now, is probably around 370,000. So I think Wall Street could be 100,000 deliveries short on what the actual number may come in for Q4. And I think Tesla's conference call is going to be important to answer that because Tesla did say we would get a revised full year update in this upcoming quarter. So what does Tesla say about current demand? Do they say things look good? Do they say there was a big drop off in auto demand? That could be something that moves Tesla stock a little bit, although I don't think, again, that is the main thing at this point. Now, Dan Levy says that fundamentals don't matter until they matter, he warns, stating Tesla's automotive profits fund it funds its very cash-intensive robotaxi and AI ambitions. Levy keeps an equal rate rating, a essentially neutral rating, even as he lifts his price target to $350, which is nearly 20% below where the stock currently trades. Now, this article from MarketWatch says autonomy is everything. Top of mind for investors and analysts will be the future of Tesla, not just whether the company can continue its EV dominance, but whether it can achieve executive Elon Musk's big dreams for robotics business. Musk has promoted Tesla as more of an artificial intelligence company than the automaker it is usually viewed as. He has emphasized that humanoid robots and self-driving cars are where Tesla's growth lies. During a call with investors Wednesday, Musk will be expected to give an update on that technology. Quote unquote, "We continue to strongly believe the most important chapter in Tesla's growth story is now beginning," Wedbush Securities' Dan Ives, a Tesla bull, said in a Sunday note to investors. "I've said that Tesla could grow its current $1.5 trillion valuation to as much as $2 trillion by early next year and to a $3 trillion valuation by the end of 2026, driven by volume production of its robotic and autonomous segments." A $3 trillion valuation almost puts the stock at $1,000 per share. Now it says Tesla has forecast a 2026 launch for driverless operations, with Musk predicting that there will be millions of self-driving Teslas in the second half of next year. The Cybercab, a vehicle designed for autonomous operations that lacks both the steering wheel and pedals, is set to enter production next year. Eventually, the vehicle will sell for about $30,000, Elon Musk said. But not all analysts are convinced by Musk's vision. Garrett Nelson at CFRA Research said that while he's impressed with Tesla's advancements, he thinks Musk may be overpromising and creating unrealistic expectations for the near-term growth of the robotaxi network. Nelson sees too much risk of potential lawsuits with a fast-track nationwide rollout and downgraded Tesla stock to sell from hold last month. Now, I think that's very important to point out because not a lot of Wall Street is really under the very bullish impression of Tesla, especially from an analyst perspective. Now, what we've seen in option activity in recent, days and weeks is very bullish. We've seen institutions doubling down in Tesla stock. Options, okay, that is forward-looking position. You only buy a call option if you expect a stock to do well, right? Or perhaps maybe you're doing some kind of weird hedging strategy. But generally speaking, the option activity has been very bullish, and people in the institutional world are expecting to some degree upside, which is different now compared to normal when a lot of retail investors are the ones that are leading the charge, if you will, in the bull narrative. And then institutions are caught with their pants down and are the ones chasing. This time around, it might be retail investors that are caught with their pants down that end up chasing Tesla stock following earnings. Now, here's the deal. I could basically go on and on. There's two sides to the analyst story right now that covers Tesla, okay? One area of them, the bears, if you will, think that it's going to take a lot longer for Tesla to scale their autonomous projects, Robotaxi and Optimus. They think that the auto business is in decline, and that's what matters most for Tesla right now. I think those guys are wrong. Now, it will take some time to prove them wrong, right? Just because Elon comes out and says some of the same things he said before, millions of, robotaxis out on the road next year, blah, blah, blah. Like Wall Street's, some of those bearish guys are not going to automatically believe Elon, right? It's going to take some time to prove them wrong. But we have seen the signs of this coming, right? Just in the past 48 hours, I have brought you guys news that the Cybercab or Tesla is hiring for Cybercab production team members, okay? We've seen the Cybercab testing on public roads, okay? There is nothing that would suggest Tesla is about to scale back some of their plans for the Robotaxi or for Optimus. There's no signs of that. What I think we're going to see is probably weaker than expected numbers, maybe a little bit lower than consensus on EPS and on revenue. None of that's going to matter. I think Elon and Tesla are going to tell us that deliveries are just fine. and that's going to raise near-term delivery estimates. Okay, so I think that's one thing that's going to be positive that catches Wall Street by surprise. I do think that Tesla and Elon are going to say they think the compensation package is going to be passed, which, judging off of the stock, I think that's the case as well. If Elon's compensation package does not pass on November 6th, I look at least 20% downside at minimum. Okay, like a big potential risk to the stock. The fact that you're trending up right now, especially considering broader market volatility recently, is a really good sign that Wall Street is convinced Elon's package is going to be passed. The investment into XAI, while I think it's cool, I don't think it's a huge needle mover for Tesla. We don't know how big that investment would be. If it's, 50 billion, that would be a needle mover. If it's 5 billion, that's not really a needle mover. Okay. You think about, $5 billion investment. If XAI's valuation doubles, that equals a $10 billion investment in Tesla. That moves the needle $5 billion. That does virtually nothing for Tesla stock, being a $1.5 trillion company. If it's a $50 billion commitment over the next 12, 24 months, and the company doubles, that's a $100 billion difference. That would be like a 7% potential boost in the stock if XAI were to double at a $50 billion investment. That's a little bit of a needle mover, but again, I don't think that is part of the big catalyst for Tesla's earnings. Now, what's really going to get Tesla stock to move is Elon and the team's plans on Robotaxi. How fast is it going to expand? Where is Tesla at in terms of regulatory approvals? We've seen a lot of Robotaxi validation vehicles around America in different areas, not just concentrated in one or two states, but in many areas, in Vegas, in Arizona, in Texas, in California. There was talk on the last earnings call about Florida, okay, and New York and Jersey and some of these other areas. We've seen validation testing Teslas. Where are they at in the regulatory approval process? Okay, what's holding that up? Robotaxi has been quiet for a while. I'm personally expecting at least one more city to launch Robotaxi operations between now and the end of this year. But it's one of those things where, look, again, as I said in one of the prior videos, take an entrepreneur that works every day, 10 years straight, all day, every day, that just grinds, right? It's like you're not going to see a lot of success until, boom, one day it looks like you're an overnight success. Okay, that's kind of like what's happening behind the scenes with Robotaxi. Tesla's doing the work. They're putting in the permits. They're doing all this for different cities. And then one day it's going to look like, wow, approval in Phoenix, approval in Vegas, approval in Dallas, approval in New York City, approval in Detroit, approval in Tampa, approval in Miami. You get the idea. Okay, it's the behind the scenes work that is already taking place right now. And what kind of guidance can Tesla reasonably give us for Robotaxi cities, deployments, and fleet size for the next 12 months? I think Wall Street's expectations are pretty low on this. Like Dan Ives expects 30 cities next year. I don't think Tesla stock is priced for that at all. Okay, so that's part one, Robotaxi. Part two is Optimus. How fast is Tesla going to scale Optimus? Is Tesla still expecting a couple thousand robots to be built next year and for commercial, like piloted sales to start? Again, what that means is like Coca-Cola takes 100 robots in a factory, right? DHT takes 100 robots in a factory. Perhaps, Stellantis takes 100 robots in a factory, something like that. Not necessarily like you can buy an Optimus bot, but different companies can, and they're going to work with Tesla to, improve. Kind of like the semi, right? Coca-Cola or Pepsi, I should say, Lay's, they've taken possession of, maybe a couple dozen semis, and they actively use them, and they help Tesla improve on them. They give them feedback, blah, blah, blah. Something like that is coming next year for Optimus. And what does Tesla say about that? I don't think generally the stock is pricing that in, that Optimus is going to have any sales next year, okay? Because how I view this in simple terms, how I view any stock that I'm investing in is a function of, okay, look, how is the product versus competitors? That's number one. How scalable is the product versus competitors? Okay, so number one, Optimus, highly competitive with other humanoid robots. So boom, green flag there. Number two, scalability and manufacturing. How does Tesla compete for manufacturing and scalability? Well, there's nobody that can really compete with Tesla as far as scalability and manufacturing. Tesla's gonna dominate in that area hands down. So another green flag. But number three, how big is the total addressable market? Okay, if Optimus was a $10 billion total addressable market, Wall Street would not give Tesla a 500 billion or trillion, multi-trillion dollar valuation on that. But with Robotaxi and Optimus, the total addressable market is in the tens of trillions of dollars arena. So when you're playing in such a large field, you automatically get a little bit higher of a forward valuation. Kind of like OpenAI, right? OpenAI is a good example. They're trying to, among other things, disrupt search, for an example. Google, that's a massive business and market share, okay? Well, if OpenAI was targeting the pet market, they would not have a $500 billion market valuation right now, even with the same software, the same shit that they have, okay? They just wouldn't. It's a total addressable market question. So with Tesla's total addressable market that is so big for Optimus and Robotaxi, I'm confident at 1.5 trillion, there is room for upside in the valuation equation as the odds of Tesla being successful in Robotaxi and Optimus grow. And I think the odds that Tesla is perceived going to be successful in Robotaxis and Optimus will grow after this earnings, okay? Now, the specifics of what Elon and company says, I don't know exactly what they're going to say word for word. I don't have a transcript, like I'm not in Elon's brain, but generally I think Elon and Tesla are highly incentivized to get Tesla to move up heading into November 6th. Okay. The last thing, Elon wants is the stock to crash the earnings basically a month before they vote on his $1 trillion compensation package. That's not going to be good for shareholder confidence or getting his compensation package approved, right? This is not going to be good for anything. So again, I think Elon is highly incentivized to say the right things, to almost pump Tesla stock. Now, I think Elon's going to quote unquote pump Tesla stock with actual facts, right? Actual beliefs for the company for next year. And that's going to be great. But again, this is one part of it. This is just Tesla earnings. The other part of this is what about Elon's compensation package? Now, we're not going to get any definitives on earnings around them. I think Elon and Tesla are going to say, hey, we're confident the compensation package is going to pass, but go out and vote your shares so it does. November 6th could be a bigger catalyst, likely will be a bigger catalyst than today or than earnings. So if earnings are good as I expect, again, you still have November 6th. Even if earnings are great and the compensation package fails, shit, that sucks, right? If, earnings are bad, but the compensation package passes in a month from now, I think that causes a big rally. Now, let's take a look at the options chain for this Friday, okay? And what the markets are pricing in. So what you want to do is you want to take like the 145 strike, the one that's closest to the money. This is on the the call side here. It's 1635. Okay, so I'm just gonna type this into the calculator. It's 1635, so it's $1,600 to buy this option, but we use option, premium. The actual price, we don't put $1,600 into the calculator. It's 16.35. Maybe you can see that. Plus, you'd want to do this on the put side. On the put side, the at the money, the 445 put is 15. Oh, damn it. Hit the wrong number. So 1635 plus 15.40 equals 31.75. So the stock is pricing in $31.75 into the end of this week. So you divide that by $445.70 where the stock is currently trading at, and you're actually getting about a 7% move priced in by markets. So it actually went down a little bit today. It was around 8% yesterday. So a 7% upside move is around $477 to the upside. Not quite a new all-time high, but a recent high. And 7% downside would put the stock at about $415 per share. Now, I view the odds of downside very low at this point. Like, I think there would have to be like very opaque answers, like Tesla's not really getting involved in the conference call, kind of like last quarter. Like, it just didn't sound like a great conference call from Tesla. I don't think you're going to get that this time around. I think you're going to have something that we walk away with excited about. So, like, again, you could see a 10 to 15% move pretty reasonably. That would put the stock at about $490. That would be a new all-time high if we go up 10%. 15% upside would put the stock at about $512 per share. Okay, so that's kind of the range I'm looking at for initial moves. But that could lead into a pretty large move the day after and even Friday. I think the CPI report's going to come in lower than expected. Mix that, with this, you could have a very strong 3-day rally that extends Tesla's stock as high as 25 or 30% higher in 3 days. Just again, depending on what Elon says. That is Tesla at $557 per share, or 30% upside would put Tesla at about $580 per share. Again, given there's 77 million shares sold short. What do you think happens if 10 or 20 million shares want to cover? Retail is on the bearish side. What do you think happens when retail is like, oh my gosh, I forgot about Tesla. Tesla's this AI story, and people try to pile back in again, right? That's where you could see $100+ upside in just a couple of days, right? So I wouldn't say that's my base case. Base case scenario is Tesla gets to about 480 to 500. But once you break above 500, the chase could send you close to $600 per share. Then I think you consolidate, fall around a little bit, and then that could set up the, late November, early December move, which could drive you into the 600s. That's the bull case scenario. Bear case scenario, boom, you fall back to about 415. You fall 7% as the stock was pricing in, but I just view that as unlikely at this point because of all of, again, we've talked about throughout this video. So let me know your thoughts on Tesla earnings. How are you playing this? How are you positioning? Do you have options? Are you all in on stock? Are you on the sidelines for this one? Let me know how you are navigating the next 24-ish hours down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. Let me know, again, your thoughts down below. If you guys want to come trade with us, as we are making decisive investments in these AI, energy, robotics, quantum, biopharma, gene editing areas of the market in these smaller cap companies. Again, positioning for this massive upside. Come join us. It is the place to be. There is nobody that is executing on the kind of level that we are collectively as a group in the trading community. Again, it's not just me. It's Talon, it's Connor, it's Brock, it's No, it's all the mods over there that are putting in so much work and finding some of these opportunities alongside myself. So you really have a group, not just me, but a group of these guys that are executing at a very high level. Like, we're outperforming all hedge funds and institutions year to date. Our portfolio is up like 180% year to date. I think it's going to be up over 300% by the end of this year. That's the kind of execution I'm looking for, and you are probably looking for as well. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. Shit can happen in AI. There can be black swan events. There could be a recession. There could be this or that trade fallouts between countries. But again, that's where a little hedging or risk management comes into play, and we do those things as well. So if you guys want to, check it out, link down below. Get your $100 in free stock when you sign up and deposit $1,000 to fund your new public account. But that's it. It's a lot of rambling. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.